What is that?
I don't. That's the problem. I don't know.
A think tape?
Tank. I mean, I don't know how to talk today.
Yeah, but who for who? It's for Miss Griffin.
Uh-huh.
So, oh, that's that tough class. Okay. This is your That's funny. Didn't we already we keep kicking the can down the road?
Huh?
Keep on kicking the can down the road. Dang, look at that. Half your classmates are go-getters.
They go up.
They already turned it in, dude. They're like, see ya, I'm done.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like you said
12-4.
to the fourth.
Hey, why not? Hey,
My God.
party time.
Party time. Time to get it rocking.
So you really don't want to. What is your presentation on again? I'm blanking. Like,
I forgot.
what's your major mental illness? You don't remember.
I think it's bipolar.
Okay. Bipolarisms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. We're finishing chapter 8 this week anyway, so that's really all that it is.
I just really came to see if that. I'm getting on the YouTube today, so me and my group is meeting up to work to try to do a thing
Right now.
Yeah, this is the only time they're free. And one of the girls, she barely come to class anyway.
She's already here.
Let me go comment.
Yeah, I'm just doing the last chapters, so I have to get my big head out of the way and then present.
Because it's almost time to have your baby.
Yeah, it'll be like a week and a half or 2.5 weeks. Dude is insane. He's got problems. He's like, let me find this one because I was kind of laughing about it. Yeah, because whenever he because when he poops, we always go, and then he makes fun of us. We say, "You poop?" He's like, he's kind of hilarious.
Kids are funny. I gotta have me a kid.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna try next year.
You gotta at least one time drop your seed so you got something to take care of you when you're old.
Yeah, at least once.
Yeah, that's right.
On YouTube.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I thought you were going to present. I'm so sad that we don't get to see it. Think about it for a Thursday at least. Just think.
Okay, I'll do it Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday.
All right.
So I can get the extra easy points.
Yeah, it is.
I got an 81. So if I present, what is it gonna go to?
You'll probably have a perfect score.
Okay, I'll see you on Thursday then.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a good one. So, young adulthood. I want to see if there's a way, okay, I can drag this down to just make sure if you guys had any questions. So, see Adriel in here. Young adulthood is the last chapter we cover. So that gets us kind of knocking out the next whole bunch of how do I get access to the Teams meeting for today? If this is for the class Human Behavior in the Social Environment, just look for my YouTube channel. It's Dr. Trouth at centralstate.com. All right, let me make sure. For some reason, I'm not remembering the online class. Okay. Search. How's it going? How you doing?
Good.
That's good. The date for my presentation is Thursday, October 20th. No. Access to Teams. Do you guys have some classes on Teams? Is that what it is?
Teams.
Yeah.
I don't have classes on Teams, but I've been looking for like PA stuff.
Right. Because I'm on YouTube. Somebody just asked, how do I get access? And I said, it's actually on I got an idea.
Is there opportunities for like extra credit in this class at all?
just doing all of your assignments and doing them again, like just keep
Yeah,
on doing them.
I finished my essay. I actually had a question about it.
Yeah. Is that your final or is that
Yeah, I
the
finished it. I finished
okay?
the final paper. Oh, and then I had a question about the PowerPoint presentation because I think you gave me an 81 on it because I didn't submit the video.
The link,
the
right?
link, yeah.
The link, which is YouTube.
Yeah, and I was in class.
Right.
I don't remember exact class
Right.
I recorded it on.
I know that's what everybody's been having the same question, but you go to the Dr. Trouth at Central State and then like just look up the um, Central State channel and then like look up your last um, presentation. They found them all under live. So you go into live. If you were a month ago, it'll say like a month ago. If it was 3 weeks ago, then it would be, just look under the hbse one and then they copy the link and paste it in. Was that the only grade you were worried about, or was it like, because there's only 4?
I'm not worried about it, but
Okay.
I'm really trying to find that.
So these are all the old
I'm
videos
trying
that
to
are.
find that, and then on my final paper, I wanted to show you to see if it was long enough. I got like 7 pages, but I don't know what you count as pages. So,
Right. So it would be only required 6, but then title page would make it 7. References would make it 8. Really is. But if you think it's short, put it in Courier New. I'm okay with that font. Most teachers are not. The Courier New font, and then that way you won't have to worry about it. It's easier for me to read. Most teachers hate that font and tell you there's no way.
I seen you one in APA, and my one teacher, Miss Beyonce, she's really been on APA. Like
Yes.
from my freshman year to now, like they get real strict on APA.
Because in grad school they won't even take your paper.
Yeah, I'm already knowing. That's what she told us. And she'll send the whole paper back. Like,
yes.
I had a rude awakening with that.
Yeah, I know. A lot of them.
I ain't never got a bad grade on paper. And I'm like, no way. Like, this is my first bad grade on paper.
So some people use the Purdue OWL website, and that's the best way to do APA. Purdue OWL.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Did she? That's hilarious.
Yeah,
And then,
I was like, whoa.
yeah, it'll show you in text citations and all that. Also, scholar.google.com. Oh, hey, there's my article. That's creepy. So if you do citations here, you can like click on. Oh, it must already have me signed in. So a lot of people go in and look up that's a way to get citations and stuff.
I
So
have 2 things submitted to you on this final paper, and I'm trying to unsubmit one, but I can't get it.
well, luckily we're doing the last chapter. Did you know that? It's adulthood. This is you guys right now. This is where you are. This is your actually this is like just beyond where you are in life. So it's a question for you to start out. When do you guys think you have reached adulthood? Is it age or social and economic factors?
Social and economic factors.
Like being self-supporting or something?
In a way.
I think you're right. Because that's the difference between adulthood and extended adolescence. Because if you got like rich parents or a trust fund or a trustafarian, you could have an extended adolescence till you're like 30. I had some friends that did that, but then they never grew up.
Why can I unsubmit this?
You can probably just resubmit again. Like, here's how much longer did it make the paper?
I didn't even do it yet. But I just seen I got 2 different things submitted because I went through back on my old paper and found some kinks and I submitted the new one.
That's fine.
The old one is still on there. I don't know why I can't get it off.
It probably won't let you. I mean, you can try, but do you know if you can delete it?
You can't do it.
Are you all registered for next semester?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, it's gonna be 3 papers on here. I'm gonna tell you which one is the right one.
Yeah, just like date the file today or something, that's the trick. Is I always put like my initials 11/29/22 and it's all updated. So,
Are you looking great or PowerPoint?
He been graded.
I did grade them.
Yeah, he graded everybody's.
And then if it was missing just the link of you presenting, that's what we were talking about. You can look it up.
Is it too late to get the link?
No, you can add it in there. Just go to this and then find the date you did it if you did it in class and then paste it in.
Okay.
It's fine.
And then you said, what was the phone call one more time? That you said was okay?
Oh, Courier New.
What's it called?
No other teachers like that font but me. It's called Courier New. It makes your papers a third bigger than it actually is. Have you ever written something in it? It's pretty crazy. Have you ever I'll show you guys. I like it because it's easy for me to read. I'd say most teachers don't like it because Courier New is hilarious. So if you wrote a paper and say it's 15 pages long, you've never done this. This is what we always had to do. But teachers finally caught on to it and they're like, you can't do that. It's easier for me to read, so I'm okay with it. Courier New, Courier. So 15 pager, what do you think it'll turn into? Usually it's like a third bigger, which is kind of funny.
It looks like a typewriter.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
Every space is the same length, including the I's, the O's, the L's, and I like that.
So you like it?
Yes, most teachers will nail you for it and call you for cheating, but I like it because I have dyslexia and it's hard for me to read.
Oh, well, I'm about to do it.
You got a longer paper now. But most teachers get real mad when you do that. You can't do that. So, yeah, we're at adulthood, which is crazy. So, chapter 8, which is the end. I agree with you. Economic factors are bigger for adulthood than age. As it says, when have you reached adulthood? Age or social and economic factors?
Yeah, I'll say factors. I think it's what you go through. All that makes you into adulthood.
You could even have a kid at 16, 17 and have to really jump forward quickly. So you're still kind of stuck in both. And then
because having a kid, I think, makes you somewhat of an adult.
Mhm.
So are you just gonna tell a 60-year-old kid that's been through it and she's not an adult? That's the start of adulthood.
And then when you become self-supporting, buy your own contributions. For me, unfortunately, that was using student loans for a little bit, in grad school, I would live off student loans. So turning outward and focusing on relationships with others is the stage Eric Erickson says you're in is the intimacy versus isolation. So a lot of people choose to reproduce in adulthood. Some choose not to. I'd imagine more choose to than more choose not to. I don't know. Did you guys hear what our world population hit last week? So in 1999,
What class did I see that in?
maybe psychology of aging.
It was psychology, actually, not
Omesh or Perdomo?
I got Gwen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we hit 6 million in 99. I think we hit 7 million in 2010, and now we're at 8 million. Or 8 billion, I'm sorry, 8 billion. 8 billion people in the world. We have 320 million in the United States, 1.5 billion in India, 1.5 billion in China, 1 billion in Africa. It's 500 million in Europe, 500 million in Latin America. I feel like I'm missing a few, but it's 8 billion total, which is a lot. So yeah, 2 critical developments as an adult, which college sometimes prepares you for: economic independence and then independent decision making. So, like I said, for me, that did become like I bought a house before the housing bubble burst. I had to pay $450 a month on my mortgage. I bought a house for $110,000. Um, I had 4 bedrooms, so I rented out each bedroom for like 300. That's how I paid for it.
Oh, that's good.
I know. You have to deal with all their BS though.
But
Like
it's still smart.
that's what. Then when I got sick of dealing with their stuff, I turned my 2 garages into little efficiency apartments.
Oh, that's not good.
That was fun.
Did I present on Saturday?
She doesn't remember.
You don't remember the day you presented?
No, I don't remember.
I didn't know if you had submitted on YouTube or not.
I know, is you almost have to.
Kind of skimmed through them.
Do you think it was a month ago, 2 weeks ago, or
Definitely was a month ago.
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
so here's a month ago, and you would go to like HBSE, that's a month ago, or the other HBSE is 3 weeks ago. So there's that one.
I just remember.
I know I was one of the last.
Did you get in the camera or did you hide from the camera?
I don't know. I was to the side though.
Were you? Did you wear your Rugrat shirts when you presented?
Who's Rugrat?
No?
I don't got no Rugrat.
That's a different presentation then.
I don't remember.
I presented on the day. You remember the girl that works at the prison? And she
Yes.
came here schooling everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, I presented that day.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
So you might even have, it's funny because after,
This girl, she was in here spitting facts. I don't remember, but she worked in the prison though. I do remember that though.
so after a month ago, it goes to, look, it looks like it was this one 2 months ago. Because that's the one that you were saying works in the prison.
Yeah,
she
yeah,
did.
it's the one then.
So that
That is
says,
her. I think it's the
yeah.
which one was that? Group.
And then it's one a month ago. It says HBSE plus groups.
Nah, it's this one. The groups. I think it's groups. The 12-minute one. No, it had to be my.
I think it was,
Or the HBSE plus group.
I feel like
Yeah,
that's what it was because they were like a special selection in the class that day.
Yeah.
See, I make you work for it. These are the dumb things you'll have to do to get paid at your job. You'll have to look up stupid crap like that and be like, why am I doing it? Like the paperwork you submit. They'll be like, why do they want me to submit it in Courier New Font? You just do it. Like your boss tells you to do it. It sucks and you do it. You can either fight them and leave or you can like do it. So it's up to you. It's like, all right, so what am I, what's that? She did talk a long time. But you are supposed, so when, for example, when we lead a group in an agency, I can bill for a minimum of, usually it's like 15 minutes. Really, groups should go 30, 45 minutes and up to an hour. You'll lead the group. You'll lead a trauma group. You'll like work through. So when you guys do practice 1, 2, and 3, practice 1 is like working with individuals. Practice 2 is working with groups. And then 3 is like agencies and macro practice. So that's why I usually let them get away with, when you bill at a private practice, the minimum you can bill for case management is 8 minutes because they round up to 15 minutes. So you write up your note, you say you talk to the client. Usually it's on the phone for 8 minutes and they pay you for 15. And you need 4 hours of those every day. So if you did 8, how many 4 times 4? It would be 6. Yeah, you could do 16 phone calls a day and be paid for your productivity. 16 8-minute phone calls a day and you got your 4 billable hours. I used to do that a lot because if clients no show, you got to find a way to like drum up business and call their teacher, call the principal, call their other social worker, you just write up a note. It's not fun. So you all are going into adulthood. I know it sounds crazy. But they say adolescence can go through your 20s. That's why, like if you have a trust fund or if your parents are letting you live there and stay on their insurance until you're 26, you don't really have to be self-supporting or so if you're going with the economic factors, it's a distinct stage of development. Neither adolescence nor young adulthood is called emerging adulthood. It's a period of exploration and transitioning to adult roles, exploring love, work, and worldview. Sometimes people get engaged. Like, do people get engaged in college still, or is that too young? I think I got first engaged in 2004, and then we never got married. So my first year of graduate school, I got engaged. We actually decided quickly. We're like, we both want. She actually went on to get her doctorate in nursing. I went on to get my doctorate in 2016. So we were like ready, and then we're like, no, we're not ready. Because we had dated 4 years, so the only next step was like marriage. You know what I mean? Like engagement and marriage. And that's a good way to find out if you're ready or not. Like if you do pre-Cana in the Catholic Church, they have 177 questions you answer together if you're ready to be married. You ever heard that? It is. But it's good to kind of pan that out. Like with your significant other, you're going to have the rest of your life. Because who knows what makes relationships work? I feel like that's spelled
I
wrong.
don't know if I got cut off, but I think it was 27.
You could have. It could have. The computer could have died.
I remember your computer dying, though. I do remember that.
If it did, just submit that one. We know that you were there. Some of them saw you.
Where's my video? I'm looking at the same.
Computer could have died, so.
So when we got one that really added, where you got the link to?
The link's on YouTube.
I'm on the YouTube, but like, where do you like put your link when you go to add it?
Oh, it might make you paste it as a Word document with the link in it.
I'll paste it right here in this comment.
I know.
I usually do it on the comment.
Just in case, if you did it as a Word document, it will prompt me to grade it again. Because in the comments, it might not prompt me, just in case.
So do you want me to do it as a Word document?
Just to be careful. Then it'll be like,
Okay, that's good enough, 'cause I did it like-
because comments is easy, but if you did if you have the Word document, it'll be like, hey, guess what?
Yep.
So there's all these theories in adulthood. This dude, remember, he has the same name twice, Eric Erickson. They'll ask you about him on the licensure exam. So it's Eric Erickson says, as individuals develop a sense of who they are and comfort with identity, entering into intimate relationships is more likely. So I don't know. What do you think starts intimate relationships?
What starts it? A friendship.
That's true. Yeah. So things in common, like things that you're.
Make each other laugh.
Because I feel like we thought we were young, like intimately in high school or whatever, but I know kids now are even 8th grade or 7th grade, and that's scary as you haven't fully developed, but you're also mature, capable, physically mature enough to enter into one. So it's like, which is the right way to do it. It's I think legally in Ohio, you have to be like 15 or 16 to get married. In Kentucky, it's 14.
That's outrageous.
I know it
Who in
is.
their right mind wanted to
I
get
know
married
it
at
is.
14?
It's crazy.
Oh God,
Mm-hmm.
that would be sweet. That's terrible. That's terrible idea.
It is
That
terrible.
makes me think of like kind of like a cult type thing though.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the parents have to agree to it. So then if the parents
Oh, true.
If they
True.
agree to it, are they in on it? It's kind of some weird.
That is very weird. I agree with you.
That is.
It is very, very
My
weird.
kid.
My kids didn't get married at that old. Like,
Yeah, I want my kids, even though I'll be very old. I can be dead.
I don't think it's ever too up to you.
Never.
I think too young, yeah, but too old.
Yeah, I know people be like, you're too old to get married.
If you can't have
at
kids.
your age, yeah.
Some people would say like,
Yeah. I
if you
see that.
can't have kids.
But then what if they don't want kids?
Right.
See, then how you have a couple that they went after their careers instead and they just didn't want it.
Right. Because they could adopt.
Yeah.
Even if they're both
You could
50 or
married.
60, you could still adopt.
I don't want to get married. I'm like 40. I
Yes.
used to want to get married, and then I went through life, and I was like, well, I kind of want to focus on myself.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah, to have things in place. So I also I got married at 34. And we also decided still to go our separate ways. And then I got married again at 40. And that's when things were like I was able to like pay for it and
right. I just feel like I'd be better mentally
yeah.
available.
Yes.
'Cause right now I'm in school. I'm just doing things.
Right. It's easy to be doing too much at this point in time. So let's see here. The next one, this is Levinson. I forget his first name. Is another theorist. He said young adult subphases. You have young adulthood. You focus on choices in love, occupation, friendship, values, and lifestyle. I feel like you could focus on one of those at each time. Novice phase of development is young people move into adult world and begin to build a stable life structure, which has gotten harder nowadays. So keep that in mind. Like as expensive as everything is, it's not easy to build a stable life structure right now. That kind of sucks. And then change and instability in the novice phase mirror Erickson's idea of role experimentation. You ever heard of people playing house? You ever heard of that before?
My mom's listening all the time.
Does
I
she?
played house for like 8 years.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So one person, all the kids.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what you do.
Yeah. You just play house. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's just a part of life. I don't know what else to. Yeah. The first one I dated long term was like 4 years from 01 to 04, 05. Then I dated somebody from like 06 to 09.
Relationship.
A long time.
That's how I am. I went 8 years and 5.
And then I was married like 7 or 8, and then she didn't want kids. And I'm like, well, I kind of do. So why would you stay together if like
No.
It's ugly.
your
was like
friends, your
hobbies.
roommates, you're
Yeah.
just like, so, because it's okay for her not to want them and okay for me to want them. When we got married, we agreed we both wanted them, but then the career thing got stronger. So it's like, okay. So no wrong answer. Here's another theorist. His name is Carl Jung. I'm sure you guys have heard of him before. Jung is the way it's spelled, though, which is weird. Jung is Jung. So he says the first stage is birth to middle age. His theories of adulthood, integrating intrapsychic dynamics and conflicts with the external environment. He uses big language a lot, this guy. He's like real spiritual and religious. Second stage is self-realization or consolidation. And he emphasizes spirituality. So this guy's real big on like, you would get married and have kids because you're co-creating with God and you're passing on your image and your children and stuff like that. So he's real big into the spirituality component. Then there's that other dude that's kind of a sicko. What's his name? You always hear of him in psychology class. The phallic stage and the
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name either.
Freud.
Oh yeah.
Freud. So a lot of people do not like him, but you still have to learn about him.
Right.
So your metabolism slows down. That actually does kind of show up in 30s, 40s, and 50s. Increased interest in health conscious behavior, and that's because our metabolism slows. Like when I was in college, I could do whatever I wanted. When I became an adult, I did have to think of that 25 minutes of getting my heart rate up somehow. And I didn't want to. But I did. Like that was how I did self-care writing my dissertation. I hated, like, I didn't want to write and I didn't want to exercise, but I'd rather exercise than write a 100-page paper. So I would go like run just to clear my mind or whatever, walk in the woods. We got lots of, are our woods safe around here?
I
I
would
never,
never walk in the woods out here.
are they creepy?
I just wouldn't do it just off of being out here.
Because it's country. They'd be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what y'all doing out
We
here?
got an HBCU smack in the middle of
They'd be like, what you looking for out here? So, but there is some on our campus, I should say. You can walk that gravel path to like the
Oh, yeah, I ain't
overlook.
never
That's
walked back there either. I don't do woods.
really
I don't do woods, though.
okay. I do like woods, but I could see where
I
it would
like
be
woods.
like.
But I like wind.
Right.
I was raised, I was raised in
Like,
Greenville,
bugs, I'm doing all that.
Okay. So, yeah, it's ideal physical time for women to become pregnant due to mature reproductive system, the physical peak. I forget what age that's. I think it's 18 to 35. I don't even know. Yes, after college would help because it is like my wife is trying to finish college right now and it is freaking hard. She has a 1 and a 2 year old and our baby's due in 2 weeks. And like, she's like, I think I'm going to take next semester off. And I said, Biden extended student loan payments till June. You might as well. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be in school to pass off your student loan. So,
yeah, it's awful. And then you gotta pray for people when you get sick.
That's the worst.
You're missing
Man. I be
school.
feeling bad for the women once they have kids.
right. It's tough. It's
tough.
like I could also step it up, but I work 3 jobs and it's tough sometimes, like you don't always you don't have a break. She doesn't get a break either. So neither one of us. Like we're doing our anniversary dinner. I told her I'd leave like 3:30, 3:35 because we only got a babysitter tonight. We were married December 7th, 3 years ago. We might have our third kid 3 years exactly after our wedding date. And it's tough. Like we haven't had a date night out since February. So some people are like, "Oh, that's too little," and other people be like, "Hey, that's cool, that's normal." But it's important to do those like date nights and like
It's important still.
And just to remind ourselves of each other.
right
We did say everything.
everything. Like they trash the place
I don't
every
think we
day.
use the bathroom.
No, you'll like
Three
slam their
jobs.
hand in the door, huh?
You work the 3 jobs.
Well, I sit for hospice on the weekends, and I have a private practice Mondays and Wednesdays.
Yeah, I like hospice.
I do like hospice.
That's like one thing.
It's 25 an hour to sit and write the notes if somebody's passing away. So with your social work license, actually they
That's good
start
money,
you.
though.
I didn't
What's-
even know that.
That's good.
I mean,
That's
I'm on the
25
nursing
an
side
hour
of
just
it.
to do that.
So like I do hospice, but I do the nursing side.
That's
so-
good money though.
Nursing it pays decent, I think, if you have the license though, right?
Right. I have my CNA.
So will they still pay a good
They
hospice
pay us
amount?
good. I got paid in my last one 19, and I think they just gave a raise because it was so hard for people to keep doing it.
Yes. And then if you get an MSW, LSW, our hospice is hiring them at 68,000 a year, right out of the gate. No independent license or nothing. I was like, that's more money than I've ever heard of a social worker making, like fresh.
It's coming though.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Because of inflation, because of the stimmy checks,
Yeah.
really. That's really why. But you're right, it is coming. So brain development, you get connections between your emotional and motor centers of the brain, and the prefrontal cortex is stronger. This is also why they say like not having intercourse too quickly, because you do build emotional connections with the people, whether you want to or not. Like there's endorphin release, there's things, just spiritually that occur, and why like the more that we connect with, the more people we spread that out to, the harder it is to reconnect. I've definitely seen that and noticed that. Not that it can't be done, but it has to have work. Seeing if there's any questions. Okay. And then substance use impacts changes in gray and white matter of the brain. So you'll have slower psychomotor speed, sequencing ability, and sustained attention. Like at my private practice, I've had 2 people come recently for DUIs, and they're giving them for weed. I guess they
I
give them for
know.
weed.
Yeah.
I never really heard of that back in the day,
Because
but
now it's technical, it's not legal here, but
it's strong too. Yeah. So weed is legal and it's medicinal, but it's 10 times stronger than what was when I was in high school. It was the 1990s. And in the 1990s, we had what was 10 times stronger than my parents in the 1960s. So right now it was like a gram of tetrahydrocannabinol in 1995. It was like 3 grams in each, like whatever little bud. And now it's like 9 grams of tetrahydrocannabinol. And I don't even know what those oils and all those vape things are. Like, I think they just knock you out. So don't drive. Even if you get it for anxiety, don't drive because that could be dangerous. Uh, there's a lot of cancer, and usually you get it older. So does anybody know anyone with childhood cancer? Is you can get cancer as a child. So friends, family, or
My little cousin, she had leukemia.
and she survived it.
She's two. She's still going through.
Okay.
I haven't experienced that.
There seems to be more of it lately too, which
I think
is
it's in our food.
Yeah.
I had cancer in 2019,
really
and I'm young. So like when they found it was like they wouldn't have found it until I was like 50.
was it like ovarian cyst or breast cancer?
Neither. It was in my belly, my small intestine.
Really?
So it was like uncommon.
How in the heck do they find it then?
I have a bleeding disorder, so like when they were giving me iron, like my blood level wasn't going up. So
Oh my gosh,
you got active bleed somewhere.
that's
And then
insane.
They had to go look for it, and then I had a tumor and it was bleeding.
So they like saved your life.
I had neuroendocrine cancer.
Like it probably would have probably killed you. Do you think?
She's like, and I waited till I was supposed to like have my like testing done for that. I was in like 50. That's when you were supposed to.
That's crazy.
Yeah, your life got saved.
Yeah.
Dang.
My cousin still was born with cancer.
Oh, so you can be born with it. I didn't even know you could be
She
born with it.
like came out when I had cancer. She was like the treatment for the longest. And then like I guess we did this little thing like I guess like a farewell. And then like I think like a couple days after she had passed away. And she was really young. Like I never met her, but she was really young. And like she had other siblings.
Oh,
But there was a funeral and everything. It was very sad though, because she was like, she just started, honestly.
like a year old,
No, she was
a month.
She was older than that.
Oh, okay.
I feel like if you could put her down, she can walk.
Okay, so she was like,
Like 1.5.
yeah, 1.5 or 2. Gosh, that is sad.
But she had like a younger sibling, I'm gonna say, and she was over here opening doors, and it's childproof.
Really?
Yeah, she was helping us get out.
Yeah.
But it was sad. But
Yeah.
I didn't really know her.
I think it is in the food, and I like that our food pantry we have here the first Tuesday of every month gives out some healthy food. You think they're doing that food pantry thing this Tuesday coming up? You guys
I
know?
think so.
If you have to go volunteer to it, I can't remember.
What'd you say?
The food pantry.
I still ain't went.
All you gotta do is
Tuesday.
show up.
Tuesday, you just show up. You just
Next Tuesday.
it's Tuesday, I think, at 1:00.
I gotta go. I
That's
don't understand this honors.
it's his honors project. Or go to a food pantry in Xenia. Yeah, I mean,
You go to any of them.
yeah.
Like, just
There's a
walk
lot.
and see.
Where are they local? Do you know the like?
They're mostly like churches and stuff. Though.
Right.
Like if you get online, like
Wait, it's Tuesdays tomorrow?
Well, it would be the first of the month though.
Wait, it's Tuesday right now. I'm tripping. I thought it was
Yeah.
Monday. I'm
So
tripping.
this is the last Tuesday of the month, but next week is the first Tuesday of the month. You can go volunteer at 1 at the where is it? Over here.
It's over there in front of Ward.
I
Yep.
definitely have time. I'm definitely-
It's finals week, I think. So then so women seek healthcare providers, but men usually skip them. So they have more effective coping mechanisms. Men are sicker and die sooner. And maybe you've seen that in parents or grandparents or, men just skip doctors. They're like, I'm fine. I try not to. And then minority, especially African American, socioeconomic status, stronger predictor of health status than drug use, unprotected sex, or stress. So like means to like insurance and money and the ability to pay for self-care is one of the research studies they did. Psychological dimension. So former operational thought, this is another theorist named Piaget. You could use them in your paper if you want. But adults more effectively use past experience. It's not universal. Like the kid who touched the hot stove, we know now to not touch the hot stove. Hopefully. And then another theorist is Veef. He does post-formal thought, and that's pragmatic thought. So logic becomes a tool for solving real life problems. Maybe it's like mathematics or like finding out if you buy bulker is cheaper or, like just whatever it is. Like if you buy gas on the certain day of the week, it's going to be cheaper, something like that. So you can just survival tactics almost. How do I find a way to feed my whole family? Maybe I go to this, I've gone to the Central State thing. If you volunteer, they give you food too. If you just show up and volunteer. So, um, and I'm probably only going to go half of this and then do questions and give you guys the other half Thursday, so you can have time to work on your papers if you want this. But there's a whole bunch of theorists, all these, if you wanted to add them in your paper. Veef, Piaget, Young, Levinson, and Erickson. They have so many theorists. So there's different. Do you guys think there's differences in male and female communication? Does everybody think that? Men talk differently than women. Women think differently than men. Men share more feelings or less feelings. Women.
Yeah.
I think that women are more expressive.
Very much more.
Yeah. Yep. So they say differences in communication exist, but also based on sexual stereotyping. Some instrumental communication is identifying goals and finding solutions. An expressive communication is the expression of emotions and sensitivity to others' feelings. So maybe men are, we'll talk sports or football and other things instead of like
Feeling.
what's going on in your life. like, I don't know why this comes to mind, but probably because it was a Super Bowl commercial. Maybe you guys have seen this, but this was a long time ago. They showed this during the Super Bowl one year. It was like kind of funny, but very sad too. It's so true. So I don't know why it's so funny. Maybe just because of the. So they showed that during the Super Bowl, and I guess it was the first cry for help for like men with debt and consumerism in America, which that was right before our big financial crisis. So 2004, 2005, 2006, and they kept letting you like refinance your home and get out another line of credit to go buy another car or a tractor, and then we had this big crash in 2008, which some say is going to happen again in the next few years. I hope not. Yeah. So we may be in recession, and you don't know until they show we have 2 quarters of negative growth in a row, which is like, say if we had it August, September, October, then we also would get it October, November, December. We won't know until January that we're in a recession. And a lot of them don't want to say it because it's bad politically. So neither one of them wants to claim it, and they try to deny it and they try to redefine it and whatnot. But families are affected by it, and cost of living. And you've seen the store prices lately, like they've gotten even worse. Even like since the beginning of class, it's gotten milk. I did just buy 5 half gallons at Kroger's. They were $1.29 for the half gallons.
Oh, yeah. See, now I don't even buy that gallons because I got to go back.
Right.
So
Well, I bought 5 of them. That's why I did that.
Now I'm like, do I buy the half gallons or do I say gas?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of that. There's just it's a pain. So then they get a little bit into just nonverbal communication. So total feelings conveyed in a message. They say 7% is verbal feeling, 30% is vocal feeling, like the way you insinuate your voice or intonation. I can't remember the right word, but 55% is facial feeling. So like nonverbal message has the greatest effect. Um, then they cover happy versus unhappy couples in chapter 8. They have comfort in sharing information with the other person, willingness to recognize and resolve conflicts as they occur, and quality of the couple's sexual life. Like some research shows, like the average married couple maybe has sex one time a week, and that's just the average. Um, Usually, when you're dating, you would have it more, maybe like every other night, every night. But when you get married, it'll cut back to like a week, once a week, or it depends, like with the happiness of the marriage too. Because if you're fighting all the time, you're not going to want to get intimate. You know what I mean? You're just like, I'm going to bed. Um, so this dude is a marriage counselor. This is like one of the best, um, most renowned couples counselors in the world, and they have all these trainings. You can go online, and he said he could predict with couples what would be who would be divorced in 3 years or later based on how partners related to each other. So I'm going to show you another one that's actually specific to Gottman or Horseman is what they call it, about couples. So they'll like do the love languages and things of that. Um, so here is his his theories, and this is actually more modern type of stuff. But these are the four horsemen in relationships. So if you're like fighting with your significant other, if you're here's how we do it. This is actually the biggest one that they said is the predictor is contempt. And that's like, say your boyfriend or girlfriend walks into the room and you're like, they're full of shit. Like right when they walk in the room. So if you have that contempt for somebody that you're dating, if you've ever experienced that before, you probably broke up with them when you were like, they're full of crap. That's what contempt is. So these guys train social workers and like other professionals um, how to work with. They have all kinds of links, which is nice, and then they sell different products. So they have a professional training. You can say you got certified in the Gottman relationship. Um, I feel like, yeah, actually, you can do this checkup on your relationship. So they'll sell different things and whatnot, but contempt is that number one, and that's the one that they're talking about in this chapter. Gottman predicted which couples would be divorced 3 years later based on how partners related to each other. And that's why they do pre-Cana before you're married, does 177 questions. There's also, have you guys heard of these 100 questions before you say I do? There's a bunch of different books. And a lot so and Dave Ramsey would say it's a lot of times it is finance or the way you talk about spending or making money, like just budgeting in general. So but I guess if you can just buy things every day without harm, life is good and it's easy. You can go out to eat, you can have food made for you. You're like treated like a king and a queen. But like when we actually have to get into the nuts and bolts of budgeting, like, well, we're going to go out once a month or save for this. But they have, yeah, there's the hard questions, 100 questions before you say I do, a few others, even like workshops like engaged encounter, 1,000 questions before you get married. Holy crap. I didn't know they had that many, but there's a lot. So it's something to think about. Obviously, you don't have to dig in until you're like sick of each other. But you guys ever heard of some of those? It's kind of big new on the dating scene. The Five Love Languages. That's another book a lot of people do. Like you either get big into gift giving, and then if you know what your love language is and what your partner is, it's easier to talk to them. So this is one that they use for couples. The five love languages are either words of affirmation, acts of service, maybe like you like to do the dishes for your significant other, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And usually you have one of these or two as your top two, and then your spouse may have other ones. So you have to learn how to navigate those. Like maybe you don't like physical touch and she does. And you have to learn how to like articulate that and not fight about it. Like, I don't want to hold hands in public. Like, I don't like PDA or, right. Exactly. Everybody's different.
And I'm a girl, so
Right.
that's uncommon.
I know that I'm like the PDA stuff, and I trace it back to my social worker training because we've never like hugged clients or even I barely shake hands because I'm a man. So like I just don't do physical touch, and I think it's because of my social worker training because you're not supposed to be around. You know, you like maybe do an elbow bump with somebody, and that's it. So attitudes, emotions, regulation. So love is the most prevalent emotion in young adulthood and takes on more meaning. What is love? Sexual in origin and motivation, spontaneous and voluntary, and not directly under our control. That's an emotion appropriate only between equals. And then this last quote they have: love is blind, love suppresses activity in the brain responsible for controlling critical thought. So that's why sometimes they'll say your picker is broke. Like you fall in love with like a psychopath and you don't find out till years later. You fall in love with somebody that's emotionally detached. You know, I shouldn't say psychopath. That sounds bad, but it could just be like you're not a match, but you don't know that until 4 years in, and now you're that far in. You know, it's challenging. Um, and then this is exactly at halfway through, so I'm going to stop it here. Attitudes, emotions, and regulation. So the triangular theory is three components, 8 types of love relationships, but intimacy is warmth and closeness. Passion is the intense feelings, good and bad, including sexual desire. And then commitment is maintenance of a relationship despite difficulties, which is pretty normal too. Like just life in general is difficult. So going through those together is normal. But when we first get into a relationship, it's always like feel good things, like go out to eat, go to see a movie, go enjoy being places or traveling or whatever. But then when you like the rubber hits the road, like daily maintenance of life, that's the tough stuff. That's like when it gets challenging and why you do have to have a date night because it's easy to skip it and things like that. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about some of those things? That is the adulthood. That's what you get to go through for however long they say it is. Because they say adolescence, this is the one we just finished. This one ends on 22 years of age. So adulthood could be 23 to 30. Maybe even 40. Let's see if they have the older ones. Because this is what you get into for hbse 2, human behavior in the social environment part 2. There's Ashford, probably in downloads. Shoot, there it is. So you would do like chapters 9, 10, 11. You cover more of the theories, but this is where like later adulthood. So if you start adulthood as early as 23, and this one is middle adulthood. That's the menopause. Some of you were saying you shouldn't be in a relationship after that. I guess that would be unfair to women, though, if you say you shouldn't get married after you can't have kids. Men can have kids their whole entire lives.
Right.
So that's not really fair.
It's like grandpa.
Right. But I could see where some people, like I said, if and some, we just have trouble in general. So you adopt. I have a brother who was unable to have children with his wife, so they adopted 2 girls, and I have 2 sister-in-laws that are unable to have children, and one has adopted. The other's a little younger than us. So this has a late adulthood. 85 plus is the fastest growing group. But I'd say adulthood clears 23 to 45. Because this one has young old 65, middle old 75, and old is 85. We've had the first drop in average age. For 50 years, our life expectancy went up like 60s, 70s for men and women. Now for women, it's 80s. In the past 2 years, we had for men, it dropped from 78 or 9 to like 75 and 76. Because of heroin and coronavirus is what they're saying it was. Overdoses and coronavirus. What's that?
Sorry, that's not good.
What'd you say?
But old men that overdoing heroin?
Oh, well, I think it just dropped the average age life expectancy. So, like, I would say, yeah, I mean, some Vietnam vets. That would be impressive if they could live that long, because a lot of them overdose usually. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, you'll find people in recovery at every age where they had a surgery at 60 and get on pain pills, and then they are no longer prescribed. So, heroin's $10 on the corner. So, go get some heroin or fentanyl, which is sad. I've certainly seen my current wife and I met from my friend who went to law school with me. He dated her in law school. And I'm going to, there's Samaj. I'm going to end it. But we dated